I'm going to try this aluminum brightener. Bob from Vintage Santa Fe Travel Trailer website recommended it, so I'll give it a try and see if it'll clean up the inside here of these frames. Well, it's definitely getting a reaction. It's starting to foam up pretty good, even on the screen frame. So let me give it a rinse. We'll see what happens. That's one rinse. Definitely cleaned it up. Let me give it another try. I'll flip it around and give it another squirt. Well, if you look at this side, which is the bottom, it's definitely cleaner than if I turn it over and you look at this side. So there is a difference there. So I'd say that stuff definitely works. Alright, well here's the finished result. It's pretty clean. It's a dull clean, and it even says on the instructions not to use it on high polish. But worked pretty good. So anyway, let's get assembling this. So I've got my glass that I've had protected for weeks inside of this paper towel, all wrapped up. We've got our parts from Vintage Trailer Supply. We've got some of these discs, some of the seals, and so let's go ahead and get this going. The original piece of this felt had an aluminum backing, and this has more of like a plastic, has some woven fibers in there of some kind. So I'm going to make a nice clean cut here and then try to feed it into this slot right here. That cut nice and clean just with scissors. So let's see if we can get this fed in here. Oh yeah, super easy. So it'll just be just getting it past these louvers, these mounts. So let me get it in there. So what seems to be working pretty well for me is to take some needle nose vice grips and grab a big chunk of the fuzz on here and then work the louver back and forth and kind of give it a tug, push it past the louver mount, past the arm, and just keep working it like that. Got it worked in all the way up to the top there. So what I'm going to try to do here is use a nice sharp pair of wire cutters and see if I can trim this off right here at the end. Nice. Trim this one. Next we'll put in this rubber seal. So I'm going to slide this into the molding right here, or into this channel. And that goes pretty easy. Pull this all the way through. Alright, got that new rubber seal worked in all the way across. It's nice and pliable, much better. Again, I'm going to go ahead and take these wire cutters and snip the end off. Nice and clean. This upper seal is a little bit tighter, it seems, than the bottom seal. And what I'm finding with this rubber seal is that if you pull it too much, it'll stretch and then pop right out of the channel. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of soap in here. I'm going to use some car wash so it's not as corrosive as, say, like a household dish detergent. So I found with using the car wash soap, or the car wash, is that you have to apply a pretty liberal amount because, and especially in this heat, it's pretty warm out today, it starts drying and then it makes it even worse. Alright, this top seal was a big pain. I will kid you not. I had to put a lot of soap in there. And what I'm doing now is I'm kind of doing like a squeegee action. You can kind of see how I'm squeezing it and pushing it towards the other end. And that gives me about a 1/16 of an inch at a time. It's the only way I've found to get it to work properly. Alright, finally got it in. I'll go ahead and give it a trim here. and see how that's come out of the channel. So I'll have to work that back in. Go ahead and wash all that car wash soap off so that it's not making things slippery for putting the glass in and those rubber mounts. While I'm waiting for that window to dry, I'm going to go ahead and lube this operator. I'll take this apart and then I'll try to blast the inside here with some WD-40 on a straw, and I'll try to throw some grease in there. Anyway, cleaned it up a little bit. I'll throw some grease on here and we'll throw it back together. Now, some white lithium grease would probably be better suited for this, but it isn't really exposed. It's set inside the window, so I think this will be alright. Alright, I'll get this operator installed. You can see that mounting hole there. It needs to attach to here with the screw. So I get this installed. It gets new hardware. Here's the original hardware for the operator, and these are the replacements. So these are stainless 8x3/4. These don't appear to have any adhesive on them, so I'm assuming it's just friction that's going to keep them in there. Once you get this in here, and this is crimped onto the glass, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, we've got the frame facing down, meaning like I'm on the inside of the trailer. And I'm going to put this piece of glass through the frame to the outside, and then bring it in past the mounts, and then slide it down inside. Now, and it's catching here, now I'm going to try to slide one of those rubber buttons in there. See how it goes. It's pretty tight. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get that in there without bending this out. Let me give it another try here. You can see here there's a little indentation, like a detent. So this is indented on this side, so on the other side it's actually poking out, and that's going to retain that little rubber biscuit. Alright, so you need to bend these tabs back in to retain the glass. I'll move on to the next one. You can see that there's a film still on this glass, so I picked up this razor blade scraper, clean all these up. Alright, last piece of glass. This is the prize piece. This is a piece of glass that we had to get, we had to order, special order down at the glass shop. So get this out of the packaging and get it in the window. There it is. And we got this at MS Glass Outlet, and they're in Beaverton, Oregon, even though it's got a Vancouver, Washington stamp on it. So I don't know if it came from a warehouse or something. And it even has, if I can get it to focus, I guess not. There it is, the ANSI rating. Alright, I'll get this sticker off, get that grease pen off of there, and get it installed. You can see the difference in the edges. This is the brand new piece of glass. Even though it looks like it's sharp, I think it looks like they sanded it here maybe, so it's not, actually isn't sharp, but it's a big difference between the original glass. It's more like frosted, and this is the new glass. Something that I'm experiencing right now is that this tolerance is so tight that the pile from this brush, the seal is sticking out so far, and it's not compressing, at least not yet. I wonder if it'll wear in over time. But when I go to close, I'm getting to a certain point right there, and that's as far as it'll go, because every single one of these louvers is touching, trying to crush that brush. So times 10 is overpowering the operator, and it can't close the window. So what I'm thinking of doing is taking some scissors, or even some like trimmer, almost like a beard tool, mustache trimmer, and trimming this. But let me see if I can get it with some scissors. Thought I was kidding, huh? So I ended up having to take this down pretty far. A lot further than I thought I was going to have to. And it's basically almost as flush as you can get it with that channel. You got fuzz everywhere. Alright, something else I just noticed. If you look straight down on this mount, and look at this line right here. This actually sticks out. It is tilted this way. It sticks out past the edge of the frame. So I need to bend this in. Now if you compare it to this one, that's a nice crisp 90-degree bend right there. And look at this one again. And you can see how that's sticking out. So I'm going to have to try to adjust this without breaking the glass. I think that this might be hitting and causing the interference on some of that new seal too. Well, we trimmed a lot of that off of there, but it is now closing completely. There is a really tight tolerance in there. I mean, look at that. So I'm wondering, I'll look on their website and see if there's a shorter pile, maybe, of that seal, but I didn't remember seeing one. You can see how much we had to take off of there. Pretty good amount. One more thing I forgot to show is this bottom seal, so you could see how it closes onto there and seals up pretty good. Alright, we're going to throw the new screen into the screen frame too. So we've got our, I just got gray fiberglass screen. So many different choices at the home improvement store. There's heavier duty, lighter duty, different colors. Just pick what you think is best. And then you've got the spline, which goes into this channel. And you have to make sure you take your old spline with you, because there are a lot of choices of spline as well, and there are different colors as well. You'll need a screen tool, which is here, and then scissors and a razor blade. To make it easier, so I'm not dealing with this roll, I'm just going to take the scissors and cut out a piece a little bit larger than the frame. Get it pretty straight, line up a nice row of the screen onto your frame, and then I'm going to start by pressing this spline in. And then we'll start rolling it with the screen tool. Okay, we'll just continue on. Got it wrapped around the corner here. And we'll continue on down. Alright, so as you go around, it'll get tighter and tighter, because as the spline goes in the channel, it pulls the screen down into the channel, which pulls this way. Or if you're here, it'll pull that way. So nice and tight now, so I'll go ahead and trim this with my knife. Be very careful using any kind of cutting tools around your brand new screen. Definitely do not want to poke a hole. Alright, so I trim my spline. Now I'll go ahead and take the razor blade and we'll go all the way down, starting here. And we'll go all along here and we'll cut the screen all the way around. Get it going on under here. Set the screen in the frame and poke the top in first, and see how it'll go into the channel there, and they'll make it so that it clears on the bottom, and then we'll pull it back down and that'll lock it in, and gravity will keep it in there. So there is your rebuilt window. What, only 8 more to do, 6 more to do, something like that. Looking good. Thanks for watching.